we find Murphy, I guess, leaning over the engineering table. You were in there. It's sort of not in the main room of main engineering. It's kind of like a side sort of, I don't want to say lab, but I guess kind of like a lab investigation room or something like that. Bond is there. He was part of the away team, wasn't he? And there's a few engineers around the table with you. I think Commander Carter was with you as well, definitely. The ball is in the center of the examination table. There is like a sort of, I guess, kind of tricorder-like setup that's kind of built into the table that's been doing scans on it. So I guess we could say it's sort of sat on like a little plinth in the middle. So
the computer has said that Fell's team have picked up the similar, was it energy signature you said?
Yes, but same alloy. Basically, as you were investigating the ball, the computer had brought up like a list of materials that it had, that it is finding in its scans. Mm-hmm. A few of which are sort of tagged as previously unknown or something to that effect. And one of them, as it was being listed, suddenly had like a additional note kind of pop up on it saying parallel analysis detected in Biolab 1.
Given that that's been flagged, Murphy would probably call Fell and ask them to come and take a look.
Sure.
Murphy to Fell.
Fell here. What's up, Murphy?
We're studying the artifact that we found down on the planet, and it's flagging up that it's got a similar alloy that you've also discovered with your creature. I'm just wondering if you would like to come down to the engineering department and take a look. Maybe you can offer some insight that we're missing.
Alloy with the creature. Oh!
You sort of hear a little bit of mumbling off the side.
Well, Richardson's looking at what its scales are made of. Maybe that's... Hey, we're on our way. I'll bring him down with me.
Yeah, sure. All right. See you in a bit. Murphy out. We're just going to take a look at the other things that they've got and be like, wonder what else we can match up.
What, in terms of the other minerals and things?
Yeah, if there's anything else we've came across. Maybe from Rai's readings from his site.
Okay. Oh, I think this would probably need like a kind of cross-checking kind of computer usage type thing. I will say that the computer is not immediately flagging anything before you do this check, but we can do that. I think actually this is going to be like a reason science check for you.
Okay.
Difficulty 2, I think.
16 and 7.
16 and 7. Okay, so that's one success. I think you don't see anything sort of out of the ordinary there. Like nothing flags up as like, from what brief readings Rai managed to get, because they were quite brief. I think he'd picked up titanium in his like life forms armor, if I remember right, and he'd also found titanium at the mineral site, but that's not an unknown, mineral or element at all. I think a quick sort of check through in the time while you're waiting for Fell to come down doesn't really nothing really flags up. But then, like I say, Rai didn't get like properly in-depth scans before the thing ran away or anything like that.
Okay. Might be something to keep an eye on when we are doing scans.
Yeah. I mean, now you've got now you've sort of done a scan on the ball anyway. You do have a list of unknown materials here that you've now can cross-reference with anything you find in the future.
We found some new stuff.
That takes a couple of minutes. I think everyone in the room is doing engineer stuff. They're not just kind of hanging around waiting for stuff. They're all kind of continuing the analysis, looking at the ball. I think just kind of
taking measurements.
Yeah, and kind of going through what the scans are saying, and that there's quite a few kind of workstations around the room here. I don't think it's a packed room. I think maybe at most there's like 4 people in here. Probably yourself, Carter, and 2 other engineers. We could say one's Bonge, I think.
Yeah.
This takes you a couple of minutes, I think, to sort of do this, the sort of cross-checking and that. Everybody else in the room is kind of working away. And a few minutes later, the doors open and Fell and I think are kind of quite... I don't want to say nervous, but a little bit sort of, a little bit twitchy, maybe a little bit out of his element kind of looking science officer comes in with her, and he's sort of looking around. You guess maybe he doesn't really get down to engineering very often. She walks in and goes, "Hey everybody, science crew is here to help. What's up?"
Why don't you take a look, Val? Can computers cross-referenced our lovely ball here with your analysis on the creature. Picking up a similar alloy.
Weird. Well, we're really just kind of getting started figuring out what this thing's whole deal is. Oh, cheers for sending Johnny down, by the way, with that gun. Very helpful. Yeah, they did this weird muscle flexing thing afterwards. I don't know what the deal is to that. Either way, there's all kinds of stuff to learn about the worm, and we're really only scratching the surface. She's kind of starts sort of peering at the computer, beckons over her other officer. Take a look at this, Richardson. See what you make of it. She's kind of just sort of peering at the ball at this point. This thing's pretty funky. Didn't really get a good look at it on the planet.
I mean, if you think it's got something to do with the creature's scales, maybe hitting it with some energy induce some sort of reaction, do you think? Or
the officer she's brought with her, Richardson, speaks up at this point. Goes, yes, Commander. Yes, this does appear to be the same mineral that we've been finding in the scales. We hadn't yet theorized what it was doing for the creature yet, but if it's also found in this technology, that's the implications are wide and ranging, and I wouldn't want to speculate.
You mean it probably could be some conductor of some sort, or converter, maybe?
Carter's sort of looking. It sort of stood next to you at this point. Yes, could be. Possible whoever invented this technology is taken inspiration from the creatures. Fel continues. Well, we've been pumping the creature full of energy, and it's been dealing with it. Have you tried plugging the ball into something?
Not yet. Carter? You want to try?
Sure. Yes. That could be the next step.
Let's take some precautions, though. We don't want to have it explode in the middle of an engineering, of course, but
yes, might be a bomb.
Yeah, that's one concern. So maybe a force field around it just in case.
I think Bonge taps away on keypad, and there's a hum as a force field encloses the ball. Gives you a nod. Oh, we're not going to shoot it with a phaser, but we can certainly try feeding it some energy from here. He takes the other control station, and so the ball's in the force field. Are you all taking a step back? What's the
yeah, Murphy's taking a step back. She's just like, but she's like keeping an eye and everything. Slow and steady, Carter. Let's not hit it with too much energy at once.
You got it. Gives you a nod. Taps a couple of keys, and I think there's like a sort of slight humming in the room. Nothing dangerous sounding. It's just like, okay, the equipment is working, kind of thing, and some extra kind of lights come on the desk, sort of indicating power is being transferred. Nothing yet. Increasing power. Bring it up to standard level 1 now. The humming sort of becomes a little bit louder, and as you're watching the ball, you start to see a line of light appear along the side of it. Very dim. One of the seams appears to be glowing.
Oh. Carter, any output?
Other than the lights, nothing that I can detect.
No radiation or anything, no?
No, nothing coming out of it. Just the light. I can increase the power.
Alright, let's keep going.
He slowly increases it again. As you watch, the line of lights that had illuminated gets a little brighter. Other seams around the ball. I don't know if I did sort of describe it as sort of having kind of a surface look of kind of interlocking sort of geometric shapes, didn't I? I think as he increases the power, more of these seams start to glow. They kind of reach like a plateau of light output. And then even as he's increasing it, they're not kind of continuing to get brighter and brighter. They kind of, I think they sort of reach the point where that's as bright as they go, and you sort of look and it just looks like this. As you're looking at it, just appears to be kind of like a globe, kind of split in multiple different angles by these kind of geometric lines. They almost look a little bit like lines of kind of longitude and latitude. but they don't often make it all the way around. But all of them are kind of emitting this sort of quite bright electric blue sort of glow. Doesn't look like it's sort of like dangerously bright, but it's sort of reminiscent, I guess, of the kind of blue that the warp nacelles give off.
Okay.
Sort of contributing to the ball kind of having like a little bit of a kind of aura around it. Carter's sort of looking down. Well, I'm not getting any increase in output or anything. This might be a safe place to stop increasing the power out here.
Yeah. It's almost like it has a limit to what it can take.
Almost like maybe we're giving it enough power to turn on.
Yeah. Just wondering if the lines correspond to anything. Like, you know how you've got like longitude and latitude on the globe kind of thing. They maybe correspond to anything on the planet.
Worth a look. Well, it's an idea.
Bonge.
Yes, Commander.
Map the lines that are on the ball to the planet itself. Let's see if these maybe throw up some sort of map, or maybe?
Yes, Commander.
It's just a hunch. I don't really expect anything, but no harm.
He kind of crosses to the wall screen, and a sort of image of the lines on the ball, like a kind of holographic representation of it, now that they're all kind of lined up and lit, appears next to a view of the planet. Swipes the ball kind of thing to superimpose it over that, and starts kind of, I guess, sort of rotating to do it, and tough to see anything straight away, Commander.
Maybe use our landing site where we found the door and things as point of origin.
Yes, sure. You see him kind of looking at the ball for kind of like a corresponding sort of like nexus, I guess. And there isn't really one.
Okay.
But I think that he takes a few minutes at this as you're all kind of, I guess... Oh, well, what are you doing while he's doing this, I think would be a better question rather than this. Because this is, you know, it's not an immediate, like, he's not just scrolling it over and it immediately drops in. This is going to take a little bit of...
I think Murphy's probably just going to look over the results from feeding it energy and see it, like looking at Carter's like readouts and stuff, see if she can notice anything.
Sure. I think at the moment he's kind of keeping the energy input fairly steady, and it appears that it is taking on energy, but like looking at the readings, it's sort of like it is plateauing. It's sort of like it's taking on a little bit, and then it's almost like it's sort of charging, I guess, would be a way of doing it. I don't want it to, sort of the immediate implication to be like, hey, you found a thing and you plugged it in and now it's charging. But you've kind of, you fed it enough energy to start up, and it's reached its power on level, if that makes sense.
So it's not reached a level to sustain itself?
No, it's still taking on energy. That's what you can sort of surmise. I think after it... This is like, I mean, you've just basically got a screen full of numbers in front of you of various things, and that would be the conclusion to make from it without me just saying like, here's a bunch of numbers. I think the conclusion you could come to is that it's still taking on energy, but it's not like powering up further, if that makes sense.
No,
like
it's probably just like, as you say, it's like charging almost.
Yeah.
It's like...
So whatever it does, you've gotten it to the state where it's on.
It's kind of like a little portable battery in the shape of a ball, kind of. Possibly, but we're not.
Possibly. I mean,
100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, there would be other things to check to do that. Like, you haven't turned the energy input off yet, so whether it's just running off of that energy or whether it's storing the energy, you're not sure yet or anything. But I mean, that could be a thing you can check now.
That could be I was about to say, that could be something we could try.
Yeah.
Try switching it off and see how long it does sustain itself. If at all.
Yeah, I mean, that easily done. You can just press a button now and turn off the power.
Carter, why don't you stop the energy transfer? Let's see if the excess energy is being stored or if it's just negating anything.
Right you are. Presses a key. The power input stops, but the ball continues to glow.
Alright, let's start a timer. Let's see how long that amount of energy sustains it.
Okay. Well, the glow continues as Bonge takes a few minutes to continue what you've asked him to do before finally turning around. I'm sorry, Commander, I can't find anything corresponding really on the planet's surface with this.
That's alright, Bonge. We're just looking at every angle at the moment. Thank you.
Fel kind of leans in to get your attention. Well, if you don't need us anymore, we've kind of got a worm to be getting back to. Lots to do.
Sure, Fel. Just don't let it escape.
Yeah, no promises. Your face. Yeah, no, I promise.
Seriously, Fel. I will feed you to it. If it does.
There's plenty of Ensigns between me and Mr. Nippy. It'll be fine. Besides, Conought and his gun are only a call away. Don't worry about it.
Murphy's just gonna glare at him.
She's got she's got like a twinkling, right? She knows she's just messing with you at this, but she knows how. She's not like oblivious and do that. She,
No. She didn't get chewed out from Commander to Lynn.
No, she didn't.
Murphy's extra cautious right now.
So yeah, she goes, cool, okay, we'll catch you later then. She gives you finger guns. Come on, Richardson. Let's get out of here. He sort of quite meekly just sort of nods to everybody and follows.
The finger gun.
So yeah, Fel and Richardson, they leave the room, and the ball continues to glow. I will say, it's been a couple of minutes now that it's been maintaining its state, I guess.
I don't think there's anything Murphy can really do then. She's not an engineer, or she finds it really interesting, but she has no idea what it does or means. She'd probably be like, well, if anything changes, let me know. Anything interesting, let me know. But I think I'll leave you guys to it.
Righto. Well, we'll keep this stopwatch running and let you know when it stops glowing, I guess. But we'll carry on running some tests.
Curious what's in it. What's keeping it going?
You and me both.
I don't really want us to break it apart without having another one to back up.
Well, if I know who to call if I need an ensign with a gun. Joking aside, then you've left them. You've left them to continue their work, I guess. We're at probably about 3 p.m. I think at this point.
Is this the same day that we had the morning meeting with?
Yes, because we had the morning meeting. Then you went down to check on Fel, told her to go have a nap. When she got back from her nap, she got Johnny to shoot the creature, and I think it's a couple of hours past that now at this point. So we're in kind of like mid to late afternoon, maybe.
Then I think Murphy will probably go and get some food. And maybe take a break.
Sure, yeah. Where do we find other people while this is all going on?
I guess it's back to duties for Johnny.
Right.
Until end of shift, whenever that is.
Yeah, I think at this point you've only got like an hour or so left on your shift. 8 till 4, 4 till midnight, midnight till 8 is the 3 shifts.
Okay.
So yeah, you've returned to your duties and you've been doing stuff. I mean, you weren't with Fel very long, and that was maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. So you've been back, I don't know, I guess. What were you doing? Maybe you were filling out because you were on an away mission, and it's the following day. Maybe you were filling out your own after action reports. You've got your own paperwork to fill out and that.
Johnny kind of relishes the reports a little bit, I think. Maybe embellishing things ever so slightly at times.
Sure.
And because this was an action-packed away mission, he's got things to say.
All right. Well, then my question then would be so from Johnny's point of view, how did the away mission go down?
I think Johnny has written out a fairly to the letter in terms of technical specification. Like it fits what Starfleet requires, but there's a lot of adjectives, things that enhance the moment, let's say.
Yeah.
He's kind of pushing at like the moment when the worm attacked the captain and that kind of stuff, and really kind of trying to push everybody's heroic aspects. Everybody's a hero in this story.
There's a lot less kind of technical, like this happened and then I did this, to more like this happened, and pushing through my own sense of danger and fear. It's a bit more kind of flowery kind of text. I get, is that the term? I guess
absolutely.
Yeah,
building tension, that kind of stuff. Whereas it's not really required, but he hopes that this will maybe get noticed.
Yeah, this is just this is your own account that is going into like the general, like, I guess, folder, which would be the report of this mission alongside everybody else's accounts. So I mean, you'd be aware of that. I think that nobody's relying specifically just on your account, I think, but maybe
I think he's thinking of somebody that's like there's a Starfleet officer somewhere that's going to read this, who's probably having a really boring day, and he's written this in the hopes that maybe this will just give them a little bit of something.
Yeah. So maybe you're spending longer on it than you maybe need to, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're writing it in such detail. I don't think this is a bad thing. I think that nobody's sitting there waiting for you to finish this to do another activity, especially this late in the day, I think. Mm-hmm. But you've maybe spent most of the afternoon writing this, whereas this really could have been like you can spend an hour writing that and then maybe do like a training session or something. You spent instead most of the day, well, not most of the day, most of the afternoon working on this, and you're pretty pleased with it, I think.
Totally. I think he's very much. It's one of those things where like he started with a bit of time on his work clock left,
mm-hmm.
and that time just evaporated, and suddenly it was a few hours later.
Yeah,
and the work is done, so to speak. And so he'll log that.
The idea that Johnny spent most of his afternoon writing a pretty detailed and probably overly detailed and overly, like you said, over adjectived account of this is quite funny to me.
Yeah.
Maybe your general plan of the week before the away mission came up was that you had, certain things that you needed to get, like your annual sign off needed to be redone. So you had kind of penciled in for yourself, like, okay, I need to re-up my Type 2 phaser, like maintenance course or something like this. Every year you're needing to not so much take a refresher, but like almost get like, okay, we're just going to check you still are up to the standard kind of thing, and so you've got all these little individual sort of, I don't want to say like a full exam or anything, but like little kind of checks every once in a while for each bit of equipment that you use regularly, and maybe there was like your plan for the day was I need to, in Johnny's kind of like over prepared kind of way, you had almost penciled in a bit of time to be like, I really need to make sure that I know what I'm doing with these phasers, which you use every day kind of thing.
Okay. So if Johnny's finished with the report, the lengthy report, he's then, I think that he's been preparing, like he's been training. Obviously, we've kind of gotten that at points. So he's going to go and do his proficiency test.
Mm-hmm. It's probably safe to say that with this kind of stuff, especially knowing Johnny's like love of like action plans and things like this, it would be the kind of thing that you would be trying to stay on top of as much as possible. So this is more like a personal deadline for you more than anything else, that you've decided, like, I need to get this done.
It's time to get it done.
Yeah. I think as well, this is probably standard enough procedure that like this is like a computer check more than anything. Like you do the test on the holodeck, they don't need to involve any, your superior officers aren't being pulled in so that Johnny can get signed off on the Type 2 phaser yet again kind of thing. This is the kind of automated sort of thing that is exactly what the holodeck is sort of mostly for, I think, a lot of the time. Like a short session to just be like, okay, we're going here, here's the shooting range, here's the maintenance course, and there is like a hologram that checks that you've done it properly.
Oh yeah, I can completely. Do you remember, I mean, this is a bit nostalgic, but like gun games like Point Blank?
Yeah.
Like I can imagine like a really fun version of like, you could do some really cool training courses and stuff in the holodeck.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like a Metal Gear like VR missions. That kind of thing is exactly what I'm thinking. Like, except that's used as your training and certification sort of thing most of the time.
Well, let's get to it then.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you finish up your paperwork. You're pretty pleased with it, I think. File it away in the correct place, and sort of checking the time, you realise, even though it's later than you thought in the day, you've probably got enough time to just about squeeze in this like certification thing that you've been kind of working back towards again. You're pretty confident anyway. It's equipment you use all the time, but it needs to be done, and you think you've probably just got enough time before your shift ends. Not that I'd imagine Johnny's amazingly worried about like, oh no, it's hitting 4 o'clock and it's quitting time kind of thing. But you like to stick to schedule, I guess. And a quick cursory check would say that holodeck 9 has been earmarked today for that kind of activity, like recertifications and tests and things like that, because there's always something going on. Fingers crossed that it's free when you get there, I guess, would be the thought more than anything else.
Okay, so yeah, Johnny will head down there, head down the corridor towards the entrance to the holodeck.
I don't think there's like a queue or anything like that, but as you approach, you do see a familiar figure. Also, I think heading up the corridor from the other direction, also it becomes quite clear towards the same holodeck, and you recognise Ensign Anderson, who you were previously on an Ensign Games team with.
Recognising them, Johnny will wave and go, "Oh, hey, Anderson! It's been a moment. How are you?"
Been busy. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Pretty action-packed life for me, to be perfectly honest. I just got back from an away mission. We've actually got some interesting research going on.
Oh, what did you find?
Space worms, believe it or not.
Well, that sounds like an old sort of scary fairy tale.
Yeah, I think I might have read a few reports similar to what we've ran into, but nature kind of has a way, I suppose.
Aye, that's true. Is there anything else down there?
Well, I don't know how much I can actually talk about. Hush-hush kind of stuff right now.
Ah, well, all these people away on away missions.
Well, I don't know how much action you see or want to see, really, but I mean, you might find out in time.
I think, Dragon, you probably would have heard rumblings like that the biosciences people brought up a worm. I think the general feeling in the science department is like, here we go again. Feld's people off doing something crazy. Like, it's the general sort of like feeling and vibe of like, bioscience is at it again kind of thing.
Yeah, they probably aren't massively happy.
No.
About there always being weird biological possible threats.
Yeah, I think Fel very much sets a tone, and that is like biosciences are just like a little bit, I don't want to say fast and loose with security procedures or whatever, but like they're leaping headfirst into stuff and bringing things on board and stuff like that. And yeah,
one of these times it's not going to end well.
Yeah. So I think you are aware, I think, of like, yeah, something's been brought back, but you maybe don't know all the details, because it was the day before, and I think there's just been kind of like rumblings in your department of like, I hear biosciences people brought something back. It's sort of like and like maybe that's about as far as the rumblings have gotten, but like it's maybe not quite as classified as Johnny is kind of making out, but like you spent a little bit of time with him in the run up to the Ensign game, so you've got a vague idea that maybe he's into the idea that it's all hush hush and he's in the know and that and everything. So yeah,
you can always get it out of the scientists some way or another.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. So are you here to do your training? I was just finishing my shift up and figured I'd had a little bit of time, so why not? I guess.
I mean, I've got no objection if you want to go in first instead.
Well, I don't know if we can run some kind of two-player thing.
I literally think what you're being retested on is the standard Type 2 phaser that you're used to using all the time. It's literally just like, for Johnny, it's like, you were using this yesterday. No, in fact, actually, you were using this an hour and a half ago to shoot a worm.
Like, Johnny's going to be in and out really quickly.
Yeah, this is why you figured like, I could just fit this in at the end of the thing.
Yeah.
But maybe this is something that Anderson really doesn't use very often at all, which is why you're sort of like, I don't want to say dragging your feet to get down here, but you're a little bit like, oh, I've got to get rechecked on the guns, and Johnny's just like, well, I get to use the gun again. Yeah. This is a rare occurrence for you in sciences. For Johnny, it's like literally he walks around with one on his belt most days.
Yeah.
So Johnny smiles at Anderson, says, as we're here and we're training at the same time, do you want to make it interesting?
And what do you mean by interesting?
Well, little high score challenge, maybe, little bet.
I think I know how this is going to end, but if you like.
What are you betting as well? Like this is a post-money society.
Good question.
Summer Bonji Sluggo Cola.
That's fun. Johnny smiles and is like, so, here's the bet. If you lose, you've got to drink a Sluggo Cola. And what do you want my forfeit to be?
Shouldn't it be the same? Would that actually be a
Johnny
forfeit for Johnny?
It's the highest of stakes. You threw down the gauntlet there by saying you have to drink a Sluggo Cola. It's a totally turnaround's fair play there. Like...
I had nothing to do with this.
I hadn't thought about this. Okay, it's a deal. Fair is fair. And I'll drink a Sluggo if I lose, but I'm confident.
Okay, I guess the door's open, and the holodeck has kind of been pre-set up for, I guess, equipment certification, in that it's sort of, there's an ongoing running program in here for the day, basically, rather than it reloading each time. And basically it's sort of like, as you step in, there's kind of like a sort of semicircle of tables directly as you know, almost like you're stepping onto a balcony as you go into the room. The tables are currently empty, but there is like a kind of control panel on the table which sort of says, please select equipment for certification. And I guess, yeah, this is where you would just type in type 2 phaser.
Okay.
The computer sort of, I think it's kind of having you sort of sign in as you do it, because you need, this is sort of a test. As the pair of you do, you both kind of select type 2 phaser on the screen, and on either side of the screen, it's kind of, you each get your own little area, and in each one a disassembled type 2 phaser appears.
Okay. You ready?
Anderson is very much not convinced.
Johnny does not notice and is hyped and just calls out, computer, start the test.
And the test begins. So I think, firstly, as I say, the phaser is disassembled. Kind of the first part of the test here is to sort of see that you know enough about the equipment to be able to kind of reassemble it. It's a pretty basic recertification here, but like if you don't know how to put it together, if it's taken apart, then you're not considered knowledgeable enough about it by Starfleet. So I think from each of you then, this isn't going to be a particularly hard check. I'm going to need... What kind of check would this be? I think reason engineering, because it's kind of... You've had to learn how to use it and such.
Can I argue that because my engineering fucking sucks, the security, because I'm so familiar with phasers, that my security is really how I know this stuff. I don't know anything about engineering generally, but phasers, I know my stuff.
I can't imagine they're very difficult to put together.
Depends on how disassembled it is.
It's not like in circuit boards and anything. It's literally like the power pack is taken out and the focusing bit on the front needs adjusting or something.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you would cover that in security then.
Yeah, like you don't have to build a phaser. It's just this has been taken apart in like the way that they are taken apart, the storage, I think.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like I'm training this particular field.
Okay. Sure, you can use security instead of engineering.
It's like mental approach. Sorry, is like what I'm thinking here. It's like Anderson is like a science-focused character, so they would approach it with perhaps an engineer's mindset. Whereas I'm security and I look at it and I'm like, that piece goes in there. And it's that simple for me.
I know how it's meant to look at the end.
That's it.
For Johnny. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is only going to be a difficulty 1 check anyway, but like, sure. Reason security for you. I mean, I've got Anderson's. Are you happy for it to still be reason engineering?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, you're looking for 14 or under, and Johnny is looking for 13 or under.
Oh, that didn't work for some reason.
Okay, so 2 successes for Johnny.
Oh, that didn't go well.
Yeah. We have, is that 1 success and a complication for Anderson?
Oh dear.
You only needed 1 success.
However,
I mean, purely from like a numerical level, I mean, Johnny got 2 successes, you got 1 and a complication, so I think Johnny beats you in the time factor.
Definitely.
Maybe this is like you're just skirting a passing grade with this, with the 1 success at the moment, and maybe I will just bank that as a point of threat just in case the complication, rather than it being a material thing. Because you did get the 1 success, and I did say it was difficulty 1, it's tough to say that you failed, because you didn't fail, you got the 1 success. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think maybe I'll just bank it as threat for now. Okay, so I guess, Johnny, you have a few seconds to wait while Anderson struggles with the phaser briefly before finally getting it together. And once you both have them assembled, a series of targets at different distances begin to appear in front of each of you. I think rather than just doing a series of individual checks for this, as it's basically you've got like a sort of shooting range exercise here, and as you're kind of up against each other, we're going to make a kind of more representative check here to kind of just sort of show how each of you does on the whole as you're kind of making your way through this kind of shooting range. Obviously, normally, every time you make a range attack, it's normally a difficulty 2 control security check. We're going to forget that. Well, no, we're not going to forget that. We're still going to be doing control security checks. However, I think what we're going to do is just say you've got 5 targets at varying distances, and some of them are moving. So we're just going to roll 5d20, and any successes are hits, any failures are misses, and maybe we'll do 10d20. And you have to get 50%. That'd be better than 5, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think we'll do that. So yeah, each of you will do 10d20. We're looking for a 50% pass rate, basically, on this.
That sounds good to me.
Johnny's got a little bit of a leg up here, as you're looking for 13 or under with your control security stat. And for Anderson, you're looking for 10 or under with your control security stat. A little bit of a leg up for Johnny, but it's still over 10 shots, maybe it'll even out. Who knows?
Okay.
I don't know the best way to do this. Whether we each just do the 10d20. We're using a dice roller anyway. I think we can do it.
We're doing it at pretty much the same time.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like the moment. So I'll just go for it. And...
Yeah. Okay.
We have the results.
We do have and the results are in. So Johnny was looking for 13 or under, and it looks to me like you got 80% there. You got a 1, a 2, 2 4s, 2 12s, 2 13s. And a 17 and a 20.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. One of them got a complication. So maybe that is the result of you maybe feeling a little bit too cocky after sort of putting your phaser together a little too quickly. Oh, not too quickly, that much quicker than Anderson, and maybe thinking like, oh yeah, the bet's in the bag, and then maybe your first shot goes completely wide.
Yeah. Just blank it.
Yeah. Anderson, it looks like just scraping through here with the 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a 1, a 2, a 7, an 8, a 10, and then 2 16s, a 17, an 18, and a 19. So you didn't get any complications like Johnny did. But overall, you hit your 50% pass mark, and just about scraped through the test there.
But Johnny wins the bet.
Johnny wins the bet, unfortunately, yes.
Which means Anderson's got to swallow the sluggo.
Well, there's another step in between this and that, though.
Oh?
You need to convince Bond to give you one of his sluggo colas.
Oh, of course.
This is true. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, and he is quite protective. He had to buy them specially with his own latinum when you were on from a vending machine. When you were on I forgot about that. When you're on Deep Space 3, he sends Sullivan to get him more. Whether she's going to immediately find out that this vending machine takes latinum and not like Federation credit, we'll get to that when we get to it. But at the moment, he's a little he's a little protective over his slug of cola. Either way, Johnny might have to get some latinum from somewhere. Bigger picture though, you were both passed your certification on the Type 2 phaser. Congratulations.
Yay.
Johnny with a slightly better mark, but then you would hope he would, because it's that's his day-to-day equipment. For Anderson, this is like you do need to get signed off once in a while, but you're a scientist. This is very much low on your priority list, I think. But now you've accidentally found yourself embroiled in a wild bet, and a can of slug of cola is in your future, unfortunately.
Just after the test, I think Johnny fist pumps and is like, yes, come on, high score. And he looks over. He goes, someone's drinking a sluggo.
Aye. But only if you can actually source one.
Oh, Bond owes me a few favours by now. I'm pretty sure he's going to give me one of those. Brace yourself for the taste of the swamp.
I don't know whether maybe we want to jump to something else from this moment.
Yeah, I think we can leave like that moment of just like, okay, we'll try and source a sluggo. That can maybe happen off camera.
Yeah,
at some point.
Yes,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, I feel like we ought to check in on Ray. Where do we find Ray right now? I think the last time we checked in on him, you were sort of figuring out your plan for scanning the seabed. Like, where are you at with that?
I think at this point then, Ray's probably got an idea for how to approach the scanning with the shuttles in his mind, and he's formulating it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, he'd probably touch base with Fel and see what's going on.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I'm sat at console. Rather than using the comm badge, I do a little tap on the control on the panel that I'm next to. Ray to Fel.
Fel here, go ahead.
How are we looking, Fel? Any updates on the creature or on the ball?
Funny you should ask. Richardson and I are just making our way back up to the lab after consulting with our friends downstairs in engineering.
Oh, those lovely engineering people.
Yeah, apparently the ball they brought on board has got some kind of chemical similarities to Mr. Nippy.
What, similar mineral composition, or...?
Yeah, but the mineral that's in Mr. Nippy's scales that lets it absorb energy is the same one that's in the ball. Hang on. Have I been keeping you up to date on this? That Mr. Nippy absorbs energy.
I remember the worm thudding the tank.
Oh, you're way behind. Yeah, the reason it was doing that was to try and absorb energy directly from the force field. And, I guess the same mineral that lets it do that is also in the ball. Either way, the engineers are kind of trying to figure out what that means. We left them to it.
If the ball and the scales on the worm the same composition, I'm wondering... Thinking out loud here, Phil, but I'm wondering if we come across that insectoid creature that I saw on the away mission, I'm wondering if we'll find similar minerals on that, or on its outer casing at the very least.
Well, shame we didn't get a better scan of it.
No, but I'm hoping we'll get some better scans with this plan I'm putting together to use the shuttlecraft we have on board.
Oh, going flying, are we?
Well, that's the plan. The idea will be that we take a few shuttlecraft out and we use the scanners on all the shuttlecraft to build up a better map of the ocean floor to see if we can find any trace of that creature or others of its species.
Well, that sounds like a fun afternoon.
Regarding the worm, while I'm thinking about it,
yeah?
It was absorbing energy by thudding itself off the energy field that was keeping it enclosed. Is it still doing that? Have you had to increase the power to the force field, or...?
It's pretty chill right now. I got Conought to come up and shoot it with a phaser, and it's just having a nap.
Wait, you did... Wait. Rewind, Fel. You did what?
I got Johnny to shoot it with a phaser. Don't worry, it's all part of the experiment. It's sleeping off a food coma now, basically.
Okay. Well, as long as things are still being handled up there and the creature's still secure, I don't think I've got any worries. If there's any changes to the creature or the current status of that sphere, let me know straight away and I'll come and assist if you need me.
Sure, but I don't really have anything to do with the whole ball situation. You might want to talk to Murphy about that. I think she's taking the lead on it.
Oh, fair enough.
Just getting back to the lab now. I'll give you a call if anything goes wrong.
All right, have fun. Ray out. I go for another tap on the console. Lt Murphy. Murphy, I've just had an interesting conversation with Fel. According to Fel, you've taken a bit of a lead on the happenings with the sphere down in engineering.
I mean, I was just asking questions, really. Carter's the brains of the... It's interesting. It's like a little puzzle. It wasn't like it opened up or anything, but...
Not giving off any strange readings since it took charge?
Not that we can detect, but Carter's going to keep an eye on it, see what comes up, if anything.
You've got the same mineral composition as the scales on the worm. Yeah, it does sort of make me wonder how much else of an organic nature down on the planet has the same things going for it.
I mean, if you want to head down to see Carter, feel free. Maybe run it by him, see what he says.
I think I'll do that. I'm just going to finish off putting together my plan for the shuttlecraft scanning mission, and then I'll head down and speak to Carter.
Oh yeah, your deep sea mission.
But yeah, I've almost got the plan together. I'll present that in the morning meeting.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll head down and speak to Carter shortly. Thank you, Murphy.
No worries.
After the comms are finished with Murphy, he goes back to the pad and finishes up his notes.
Right.
And then he will eventually head down to see Carter.
Okay, well, let's jump to that point then.
Okay.
So you make it down to engineering and find Carter and engineers in the lab with the ball.
Carter, having a ball with the ball.
That's very good.
What have you got so far?
Well, it seems to still be holding its charge pretty well. We only gave it about 5 minutes of power earlier on, and, well, it's showing no signs of losing it, so we can be sure that whatever power storage matrix it has is, well, pretty robust after all this time. But other than that, I mean, it's we've pretty much brought it to this state, as you can see. Lights on, but no further effects.
Has there been any change in any kind of signal output from the device? Anything that's being picked up?
Nothing, no. Just the lights as far as we can tell. Constant temperature, constant mass, no other radiation detected.
Any gravimetric changes to its physical composition?
Well, not that we can detect, no. And, well, we've been pretty much doing a full battery of tests on this thing.
Okay. I am there is something I'm wondering, Carter. Are you familiar with what's going on with the sandworm that Fel's got in one of the labs on the upper decks?
Oh yeah, she was very helpful. Helped us come to the idea of putting a bit of energy into this.
I'm just wondering, if they share the same mineral composition, they both feed off energy. I'm wondering what would happen if we put the two in the same vicinity together, the worm and the sphere. Maybe the sphere would react if it was close to something with similar properties to itself, i.e. the worm with the scales.
Possibly. My thought was just that whoever designed the sphere is using the mineral in the same way that the worms do. Not exactly a coincidence, just a similar usage of it. Possibly even inspired design choice.
I don't know. I do find myself curious as to what would happen if they're in the same place.
Well, nothing stopping us from bringing it up to the biolab.
I mean, you think it's so you're okay with us temporarily taking it up to the lab?
Well, of course. Thought I'd accompany you though.
Okay. Do you know what? Let's give it a go. I tap my comm badge. Ray to Fel.
Fel here?
I'm with Carter at the moment. We're going to bring the sphere up to the lab. I'm curious to see what happens if we put them in the same vicinity.
Okay.
At this point, it's just a theory, but I think something might happen if we put the two in the same vicinity. We might actually see something in terms of new activity from the sphere.
Worth a go, I guess. Yeah, bring everyone up.
Okay, Carter and I will be on our way up then. We'll see you shortly. Ray out. Alright, let's get this thing up to the science labs.
Alright. Carter presses a control on the panel, and the force field surrounding the ball drops, and him and Bonge carefully load it into a sort of sample container case, and it's not too heavy, so Carter picks it up on his own and gives you a nod. Alright, let's go. And the pair of you head out of engineering to the turbo lifts, heading up to Biolab 1. It's only a short trip, and the pair of you make your way inside. Carter placing the equipment case on a sort of side workbench, opening up, and you are next to the enclosure with the worm in it once more. Bell's just kind of leaning on the side of it, looking down at the worm moving around.
Anyone come up with any new suggestions since earlier?
No, Mr. Nippy's still in the lead. Not had too many new people in here, though, to be fair.
Okay, so I step back and for a few moments just look at the ball and then look to the worm. By now, has the worm woken up, or is it still kind of comatose?
I think it is just about kind of starting to move again. It's been a couple of hours. It's
Okay.
it's kind of it's back to like a sort of slow walking pace. Like it's clearly metabolized all the energy that it took in, and it's like just about getting back to like, okay, I can start absorbing energy again kind of levels.
Right. So it's starting to get hungry again.
A little bit, yeah, but it's kind of back to like the slow walking pace that it was at maybe when it was first put in the enclosure.
So, okay, so we're looking at the worm, looking back to the ball. Is anything happening?
Not that you can see straight away.
I think we need to introduce them a bit closer to each other. We'll put it in the same pen.
Okay. The sort of aperture apparatus extends again that was previously used by Johnny to open a small hole in the force field to shoot through.
Slightly bigger for this sphere to fit through.
Yeah.
So I give Carter a hand to put the ball through the aperture.
Okay. Yeah, you drop it through, and it softly lands in the dust and sits there, continuing to glow as before.
Okay. So now we wait and see if the worm reacts to it, or vice versa.
Okay. There's no immediate reaction from the worm. It's still kind of slowly moving through the dust and sort of starting to get back onto its sort of like laps of the... Well, it's not necessarily doing one lap after another, but it's just sort of doing its sort of meandering.
It's moving around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
like
doesn't...
a shark would. It meanders through the water.
Yeah, but it doesn't like immediately turn towards the ball and like go for it or anything like that. You watch for a few more minutes, and no signs of interaction so far.
I think there might be a way to encourage some interaction here. Fel,
Yo.
if the worm starts getting agitated and bumping up against the force field of the pen, try and lower the amount of power that is fed from it with each attack, shall we say, that it makes.
Just so we're clear, it sounds like you're telling me to lower the force field.
Not completely lower it, but...
I'm only saying because that sounds like the kind of thing that Murphy is going to murder me for doing.
Yeah, okay, I'll be very clear. I'm not telling you to completely lower the force field, but what I want you to do is to very, very, very gradually drop the level so the worm doesn't get as much, because my theory is if it can't get the amount of energy it fully needs from hitting the force field, it might try and get it from the sphere. Because it currently is sitting on a full charge. And according to Carter, it's been simmering away nicely down in engineering. So if it can't get the full whack it has been trying to get from hitting the force field, maybe it will go after the ball. It's only a theory, but by no means am I asking you to lower the force field completely.
I mean, I'm up for anything, you know that, but my main concern is, like, the power level doesn't really go that low. I mean, the lowest we can put it, it's still going to look like a pretty tasty snack for this creature. I'm just kind of skeptical that you're going to get the effect that you're looking for. Plus, on top of that, the lower we go, the more chance things are going to go wrong with containment.
I don't think anything's going to go wrong. But if it makes you happy, I'll inform Murphy of this and get her thoughts on it before we actually do anything.
Well, I kind of want to hear what that conversation's going to sound like.
All right, then. Get my comm badge. Ray to Murphy.
Ray, I'm about to tuck into my dinner. You better have a good reason for calling me right now.
Okay, not super urgent, but when you finish with your dinner, could you come up to Biolab 1, please? I'd like to run something past you of a security nature. It involves the worm and the sphere.
There's a long pause.
I'll take my dinner to go. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Oh, you can have your dinner. We'll wait. It's not, like I say, it's not urgent.
No. If there's gonna be a creature outbreak, I'd rather be there.
Okay, we'll see you when you get here. Ray out.
You put your food in a little doggy bag, and
It's in a little pot. It's
Yeah.
in a little bento box.
well,
What did you
eating?
pick, by the way?
Yeah, what was the this is the important question of the episode. What were you having for dinner?
Oh, some Korean spicy chicken and rice. I mean,
Fair. Okay. So yeah, you pack up your dinner and you make your way to Biolab 1. Your first thought when you enter is, where is the ball? And then you see the glow coming from within the enclosure.
okay. Plan.
Fel puts her hands up as if to say, not my plan, not my fault. This is nothing to do with me.
No, I didn't think it was your plan, Fel, but Ray.
I know what you're thinking. But hear me out. What if the sphere isn't reacting after us giving you the charge because it's not near anything that has any relation to it? And then I remembered that the worm scales feature some of that same composition of the material the sphere is made of, and they both have a need for energy consumption. So I thought, what would happen if we put the sphere and the worm in the same space? Would the worm react to the sphere? Would the sphere react to the worm?
Nothing so far, just FYI. Fel kind of puts in from the side.
I've posited an idea that if we were to not completely lower the force field of the pen, but if we were to reduce the energy output just enough that the sphere was the only thing with energy that it could take, would it react? Because it couldn't get it from the force field bashing.
As long as this place is fully sealed off, then I will give it the go-ahead.
Okay. Well, can we seal this room up completely and then lower the energy for the pen force field from outside?
I mean, it can all be controlled from out there, but just want to repeat myself that I don't think that lowering the force field power level to its lowest point is gonna do enough to get the result you think. I mean, even at its lowest point, it's a high energy piece of tech. The only way for it not to be a distraction would be to turn it off completely. But if you want to give it a go, whatever, let's get on with it.
I want to see if it chooses a secondary energy supply when it realizes its initial source isn't giving it as much as it needs. I'm thinking of it like a drug addict. Its main source of addiction isn't doing it anymore. It needs to find a new source.
Okay, but just remember what I said.
So yeah, we're going to enact that plan. All personnel will leave Biolab 1 and we'll observe from the outside and see what happens.
Okay, lead the way.
Okay.
So everybody who is inside Biolab 1 files out into the sort of outer lab area. The lab itself is sealed, and you gather round the sort of external control console. Fel looks to you. Okay, here we go. And you watch on the screen as the visible glow of the force field dims to about as low as it can go. And the waiting game begins.
Occasionally we hear crunches of Murphy's Korean chicken.
Yeah, I think it's
Not even taking it off the bone. She's just...
I'd imagine after a while, if there's no immediate threat, Murphy's just like, all right, I'm off to my quarters to eat this in peace.
Yeah, I think there's a good 20 minutes or so of nothing happening when you're all just kind of stood there, and I think during that 20 minutes, Fel does quietly step to one side and replicate herself some food as well, and it's just like...
Yep. The exact same meal.
As the smell of Korean barbecue filters through.
Yeah, I think she realizes at that point that she hasn't eaten for 24 hours, and...
At that point, also, Ray will go, oh, I want that as well. And he goes and does that. I do that as well.
Okay, so I think shortly after Murphy leaves is the first time you see the worm make a jump for the force field. It's a little bit of a longer scrape along the force field itself this time, before it drops down back into the dust again and continues moving. Still no signs of it going for the ball at all.
There's definitely a change in its behaviour when it goes for the force field. Spending longer scraping up against it.
Fell with a mouthful of food goes, probably not getting as much energy from it.
Which we predicted.
Also, probably not getting hurt quite so badly. I think over the course of the next 15 to 20 minutes, you see a few more of these longer scrapes before finally seeing on one of these scrapes what looks to be almost like the worm is almost protruding further through the force field than it ever has before, like it's sort of almost like a fish cresting underwater, if that makes sense, rather than just being bounced off through the force field.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
It looked like part of it was getting through the force field.
Pretty sketchy, yeah. I'll tell you now, when I find out who told us to turn down this force field, I'm going to be writing them a strongly worded letter.
How many of these long scrapes have we witnessed so far?
Probably 3 or 4,
3?
I think.
Okay. Fel, put it back up to full strength.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to get any more out of it this way.
On the screen, the force field returns to full power, and yeah. Just to confirm though, absolutely 0 signs of the worm going anywhere near the ball throughout all of this.
I'm thinking we might need to change the environment it's in. Take away the force field, take away the dust. We find a container. We put it in a sealed container. Well, we'll make sure there's oxygen for it, at the very least. Don't know if it needs oxygen. Not going to be cruel. But maybe we need to put it with just it and the ball and nothing else. No force field, no dust, no sand, no nothing. And see if anything happens then. Because right now, we've got a stimulus in the way, which is the force field. Whatever energy level it's at, it's going for that and ignoring the SIG completely.
Okay.
So we either need a sizable crate or an empty torpedo casing with all the innards taken out, and we need to seal both the sphere and the worm inside, basically monitor what it does.
Okay. I think we'll move on a little bit time-wise to sort of just to represent the time it would take you to kind of organise what you need. Not a huge amount. I think we're still in the same kind of evening. But yeah, you kind of set up a little secure area, I think maybe in one of the cargo bays or something, where you've got a completely sealed off sort of crate environment that's been sort of set up so you can observe it from the outside, but there's nothing on the inside at all other than the ball that you've placed in there. And I think as you sort of yourself and other interested parties kind of gather round to just observe and see what might happen, Fel gives the signal, and the worm is transported down from Biolab 1 into the waiting, now empty other than the ball, observation crate.